Bones here had a great question this morning. He was thinking about asexual reproduction, and he was wondering, what exactly is asexual reproduction, and are there different kinds for different little small organisms? And the answer is yes. There are a couple different kinds of asexual reproduction, and that's what we're going to take a look at today, just for you, Bones. What are the different types of asexual reproduction, and how do they help us, or how do they help the organisms that use them? Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is a process called mitosis. Mitosis is the process of cell division. Very simply put, it's when one cell turns into two. That's it. One cell turns into two. All right? Now, this is important because sometimes you break a bone. You break a bone and you need to replace those bone cells that are broken so it refuses itself. This is done by your bone cells going through the process of mitosis. Again, one cell turns into two. That's what mitosis is. Now, this is very common in unicellular organisms, such as an amoeba. Amoeba is like a little blob of one cell that swims around and minds his own business. It looks like a little blob. Okay? Unicellular organisms tend to use mitosis. And what happens is it takes all of the DNA and all the chromosomes and all the genetic material that you find in the nucleus of it. And what they do is they all double themselves. Okay? They double them. So they make copies of themselves. And then they split themselves apart. That's how it works. So if you have 4 pieces of DNA in order to make a certain cell, I'm just making up a random number. So you have 4 pieces of DNA. If that cell were just split apart, each new cell would only have 2 pieces of DNA. That doesn't work. So what you have to do is that DNA and those genes double themselves. So we're going to take our 4 pieces of genetic material or DNA, and they're going to double themselves to 8. Then the cell rips itself apart. So each new cell has the original 4 pieces of DNA. Again, I'm making up numbers here to keep it simple so you guys understand exactly what's happening. So in this picture down here, you can see mitosis in action. Okay, here we have a single cell. The chromosomes are inside the nucleus. The chromosomes double themselves and line up in the middle of the cell, and then the cell tears itself apart, pulling half of the DNA and the genes to one side of the cell, pulling the other half to the other side of the cell before they actually split apart. And the 2 new cells are called daughter cells. Okay? It's not a male, it's a female. It's just what we call them. We call them daughter cells. And they're an exact copy of the original parent cell. They're clones of each other. If you want to look at it in more real life, this is kind of what it looks like underneath a microscope. It's pretty wild. So mitosis is the process of cell division, when one cell divides into 2. The important thing you have to remember is the DNA and the chromosomes and the genetic material have to double themselves before the cell splits apart into the new daughter cells. And that's what you have to remember about mitosis. There's another kind. It's called regeneration. Regeneration is pretty cool. Regeneration means you have the ability to regrow lost body parts. Some organisms have the ability to regrow lost body parts, not us. If we lose a finger, it's gone. If we lose a toe, it's gone. All right? But there are certain types of organisms that actually reproduce or regenerate a lost body part in case it loses it. For instance, starfish. If the starfish loses an arm, it will actually regrow its arm by the process of regeneration. We have a gecko down here. A gecko, if it loses its tail, will regrow its tail. And this helps it survive, because if a gecko is being chased by some sort of predator or a snake, and the snake bites off its tail and catches it from behind, that tail will pop off and the gecko will continue to run away to try to escape, while the snake thinks that it actually caught the gecko and will just stay there and eat its tail. So then later on, the gecko regrows his tail and he's fine. It's a great way to help a gecko survive. It's done by regeneration. There's also something called a planaria. Okay, this is a planaria worm. Okay, it's got little eyeballs, it's got a little head, it's got a little body. Okay, what it does in order to reproduce, it literally tears itself apart. It tears itself apart into 2 new planaria cells. If you cut this guy in half, okay, you'll get 2 of them. If you cut them in half again, you'll get 4 of them. So regeneration is the ability to regrow lost body parts, and certain organisms like a planaria use it to reproduce. Pretty wild. Another kind of asexual reproduction is called budding. Budding happens when a new organism just grows right out of the side of the parent organism. It literally grows another one of themselves. So this picture here, this is called a hydra. Okay, you can see all the tentacles up here. It kind of looks like little octopus tentacles. We call it a hydra. And you can see a little baby hydra right here, okay, starting to grow out of the side. This is the new offspring. Okay, there's no female hydra. There's no male hydra. There's just hydra. So picture it like this. Picture being able to grow a little you out of your shoulder. And when the new little you, like a little mini you or a little mini me, is finished growing and ready to be on its own, it just pops off your shoulder and you have a little mini you. You just pop them in your pocket. You have a best friend for life. This is done through the asexual reproduction process of budding. Yeast does this, coral does this, sponges, lots of aquatic plant life down there does it, and also the hydra. So just picture budding as you wanting to grow a little buddy for yourself. And you could grow a little buddy out of yourself and pop them off and you have a best friend forever. And this leads us to cancer. Cancer is abnormal cell division. Here's the way you have to think about this. When your body needs to reproduce certain cells, a light switch goes on. It tells your body to start reproducing new cells. When you're done reproducing those cells and you have enough of them, that light switch turns off and you stop making the cells that you need. Unfortunately, with cancer, that light switch gets stuck on and the cells start to reproduce over and over and over and over again to the part where certain organs and organ systems in your body will start to lose their function. Okay, this is basically how cancer works. It's when a certain abnormal cell division for a mutated cell that is going to actually harm your body won't turn off. And there's different methods for dealing with cancer now, and the advances in technology and medicine are getting great. And if you can't catch cancer early enough, the outcome is actually very positive now. So just remember that cancer is abnormal cell division when a mutated cell, okay, that can possibly harm your body, the light switch of your body gets turned on and those cells just continue to multiply and multiply and multiply until you can figure out a way to turn off that switch. There are lots of different kinds of cancer out there. Everybody in this world is affected by it. And we're really making a good push medically and technology to fight the cancer throughout the world. Okay? Sound good, Bones? So those are some different kinds of asexual reproduction that you should be aware about.